for different students and general creatives who want to discuss their current struggles or their current practices and their processes with other people. It is essentially to inspire different artists in their walk through the creative fields of life, and basically just to have a bit of fun as well. It's always good for us to discuss things, and I think a lot of people want to talk about their art, and hopefully this can provide a platform for different students and artists to share their work and get themselves out there a lot more. So in this first interview I talked to Karina Geddes, who is a lino printer, an embroiderer, and illustrator, amongst many other things. She is a fellow student on the Coventry MA course, Illustration and Animation. So we're just going to have a little chat about her creative life, and hopefully and I'm sure it will, provide some creative insight for all you guys out there. I'm your host, Dean Stevens, and here is the first episode of the Creative Pit podcast. So, hello, and welcome, Karina Geddes, to our first podcast.
Hey, Dean.
Hey. We're just going to go for a quick discussion about yourself and anything art related. And yeah, we'll see where this discussion takes us.
Oh, good lord. Okay.
Yeah, it could go crazy.
It will.
I was going to say 90% chance that it probably won't, but yeah, it probably will.
Okay.
First of all, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and what type of art you create.
Okay. Well, I am currently, and have been for the past, 20 odd so years, a Coventry-based illustrator. But I am a Welsh girl at heart. That's who I am, and that dominates, I think, at least 80% of my personality.
You can take the girl out of Wales, but
you really can't take the Welsh out of girl.
Yeah.
And I am an illustrator, and I feel that that's almost confessional. But
yeah.
If I say it enough, I will believe it.
Yeah. You'll have to start putting up post-it notes everywhere. I am an illustrator.
Yeah. I'm 27 years young.
Yeah.
And that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah, that's good. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
So, when you do your illustrations, what sort of medium do you use? What sort of approach do you take?
Okay. Well, see, I at heart, for someone who, though anyone who's listened to this cannot see me, I'm very much a traditionalist. Like, I love. It doesn't mean I don't use digital methods, but I am very much a traditional maker.
Yeah.
And I predominantly use print methods such as lino print, monoprint, screen printing, and embroidery, and that is the main way. And if anyone has ever seen my work, that is probably the medium they've seen my work in.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I've seen quite a bit of your stuff on Instagram, and it is very traditional looking. It's very unique as well, I think.
Ah, thanks, Dean.
You don't see enough lino printers around nowadays.
It's a very niche. It's because it's so time consuming. So because it's time consuming, obviously when it's done, you can remake, like you can make a massive batch of prints.
Yeah.
Because it's the getting there, isn't it? So things like embroidery and lino print so long-winded that people don't normally choose those mediums because they are slow.
Yeah, and they're kind of dangerous.
Oh my god, yes.
Yeah, I remember catching myself a few times in the past.
Oh yeah, like my I know this sounds really unprofessional to anyone out there who does do lino print, they can be like, what? But my really sharp, like, cutting implements for lino, I just have to stab them into a rubber because I don't have any corks because I don't drink enough wine, or the wine isn't that expensive.
Yeah.
So stuff them all into rubbers just so I don't catch myself when I'm at my desk.
Well, if it does the trick, that's what matters.
Oh, I'm not dead yet, so.
Yeah, that would be a pretty big lino print for someone to kill themselves, I think.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. What I'll do as well, if you don't mind, is along with the video on YouTube, I can put images of your work up.
Yeah, sure,
so
yeah.
people can see that. And obviously at the end we'll go through sharing your Twitter handles and Instagram names and
Getting
all
those sweet pictures in.
yeah, those thingy-majiggies.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll get to that point so people have more of an understanding of your art, because it's quite difficult to describe exactly how your art looks. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Everyone's got their own style.
Yeah, you need to see it to believe it. I think it's a lot.
Yeah, this isn't a case of faith.
Nope, it's not like, well, I draw with pen and it's graphical and it reminds you of 60s comics. I couldn't say anything like that about my work.
Yeah, of course. And even then, not everyone has their own style, so
Yeah, of course, yeah. Everyone's perspective on life and art is very unique, so it's good to have a visual.
It is. It's good, and I like that uniqueness to it. So when did you start creating, and when did you get serious about your art?
I grew up in a household that I suppose in like as all art like current artists and illustrators and writers and stuff say they're like, oh, I've always done it, but I grew up in a household where with just me and my mum, and my mum is and was then still a scientist. She works in analytical chemistry.
Okay, yeah.
She filled our household with all fun things like films and music, and I always had books, and we used to make all these fun and crazy things. So I say we could always say that I started young. Me and my mum would paint hard-boiled eggs and paint them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we made rockets out of giant boxes and all these kind of things. But I had a rebellion as a teenager, as all teenagers will want to do.
Of course.
And when I went to pick my GCSEs, my mum was like, no, you're not doing art, and so we had this massive argument. She didn't let me do art, and I didn't do art.
Oh, that's a shame.
I'd probably be a lot better now if I had those extra years in practice, but when I got to make my own decision and my own kind of when you go to A-levels and stuff, I was like, I'm going to do art. Because the thing is, there was no real way to rebel against my mum, because she's so I'm going to say quite bohemian in her nature. There was I couldn't listen to rock music to rebel against her. I couldn't dye my hair. She dyed her hair and listened to rock music. So there was no rebellion.
Yeah,
so this was rebellion. So I think that was my big rebellion against my parents, and it's kind of just went from there. And I decided that there was nothing else in the world that I would want to do more.
Of course.
And so I've never truly been serious, but I think it's always just been, I do it because I need to do it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's in you.
It's hard to describe. It's there. It's something that I didn't realise that's what I needed to be doing until I was doing it, and I was like, this is it. This is my thing.
Yeah, it's like your calling, as sort of cheesy as that sounds.
I think it is. I think it's a cliche it's one of the few things in the world that's a cliche for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was there in me, so I found it and I followed it, and it was very mystical, and it's like a bit of romantic poetry.
Like the rabbit, following the rabbit. Yeah.
Oh, I am Alice.
Yeah, you didn't know what to expect.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I can relate to that, because I feel the same. Not so much the thing with my parents. I mean, they were more like, you do what you want. Do you know what I mean? So if anything, I think they should have sort of put the reins on me a little bit more. Because whatever, but I've always felt like it's in me to do it. Do you know what I mean? And
so then you do it, and you get so much joy out of it that you just carry on. You can't stop, can you? Really, it's just it's there.
Yeah, and you're always thinking about. Well, I don't know. I can't speak for you, but I always feel like I'm always thinking about creating stuff, or how something is created or made and that sort of thing.
Oh yeah, it's not something. Oh my god, it's traffic here. Is I live on a main road. If anyone cares, and it's a
Yeah,
nightmare.
that's fine.
No, no, I know what you mean. Like I always, it's the first thing I think about when I get up, and the last thing I think about before I go to sleep. And I know that's probably not very healthy. And it's not in like a demanding way. It's just I'm always thinking artistically. It never switched off. It never has. It's like yeah, it's a calling. Oh my god, it's got so
Yeah.
cheesy and romantic in
No.
here.
Start playing some Barry White in a sec.
Ode to art.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and from looking at your Instagram posts, it's very consistent. You're always creating, you're always getting stuff out there.
Yeah,
Um,
I think you kind of have to. It's like riding a bike. You know, you once you can do it and you practice, you can always do it. But if you stop practicing, going back to drawing, writing, acting, dancing, there is that rust.
yeah,
And I think that's quite like I want. Not that I'm actively trying to avoid that rustiness, but I don't feel that I'm the best I can be yet. So I haven't even peaked yet, and it's that humble brag.
yeah.
But if I haven't peaked yet, then I've got to get there to even try and I don't know.
Of course.
It's good. It's a good habit to keep. I think, if
It
nothing
is.
else.
It is, yeah. If you can keep that passion, that fire burning, then I think you're pretty much sorted, because it's very easy, I think, to, I don't know, leave it till the next day sometimes, or think, that drawing didn't turn out the way I wanted it to, or so and so. And then it can either put you off a little bit, or other things might get in the way, such as work, and it's very easy for that to happen. So if you can keep that passion going and constantly creating, then I think you've mastered something that a lot of other people struggle with, which is
Yeah,
is
it's a
good.
good discipline. It's a good thing to like a good discipline to have because it's like kind of almost we're going to go back to being really soppy again, but it's like loving yourself.
It
If
is,
you
yeah, yeah.
abandon it, it's like you're abandoning a bit of yourself. Where if you stay and nurture it, it's actually quite rewarding. And apparently, we're going on to a self care podcast.
Yep, we have. How to self-love.
Yeah. Wow, I didn't know I had this in me. Apparently, I am a natural hashtag self care
Right,
guru.
you should start doing those YouTube videos on
Uh, no one needs that.
self-respect.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's true though. It is. Yeah, you've got to have a bit of. If it's something you really want to do and you love, then you need to nurture it and put some care into it, I think.
Yeah.
Um. So yeah, yeah, that's great stuff. I wish I had that much self-discipline, because especially if other things get in the way. Like I'm awful with like video games and stuff. Um,
Yeah.
I really want to play it, and I'll be like, I've actually been really good, because literally behind my desk is my PlayStation 4 and my Switch, and
Right.
I can sit there and do my artwork and just put it out my head. So I guess I've got quite a bit more self-discipline than I like to think. Um, but sometimes it does get in the way, where I'm like, oh, today I'll just play like an hour of this, and then like 4 hours later, you know.
Yeah, you're sitting in a pool of bin baggery.
Yeah.
With your life.
Yeah.
No, I get that. Like self discipline, I think like art is something you have to like really work at. That is something I've had to work at. I've had to become more disciplined and more focused, and that's something that I've had to kind of I don't know hammer into myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Particularly now at uni, like it's like a no focus, stop,
Yeah.
focus.
Yeah, exactly. Like you've got a real reason
Yeah,
more of a reason, I suppose.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. No, I think that would be very inspiring to anyone who is listening to this.
Yeah, focus.
Yeah, that's it. Stop being lazy. No. Um. So you're a student. We haven't addressed that yet, but um, I just wanted to ask you to explain or tell the listeners what course you are on, and what you like most about it.
Ooh, so I am doing MA Illustration and Animation at Coventry University, and it's very hard to, like, I just put it out there, I did not go into this knowing any animation, just so everyone knows that, and it's not necessarily something I might pursue solely, but it's definitely a rewarding thing if you enjoy animation or are an illustrator to dually learn, because they are so intrinsic.
Yeah.
Like, they come so hand in hand. Like, I think it's a very strange course, and when I say strange, it's for all the right reasons. I'm sure, other people on that course will definitely agree with me. It's very free flow. It's very, as you take it, you get what you put in out of it, and the course tutor, John, is amazing.
Yeah. I can attest to that. Good old John.
Oh, we all love John.
Yeah. Just so the listeners know, I'm also on the same course as Karina, and I completely agree with you about the course. It's like you'll get topics for the project that you've got. Like this one is location, but it's very vague, so you can sort of take it really in any way you want.
Yeah, it's because John. I don't know if you were in the room as he said it, but John actually started this course 13 years ago, so it's completely curated by John.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's very telling of how, even though he's like, I'm not a full-time lecturer,
Yeah.
and he's still in the industry, he's still a professional illustrator. Like, he makes that course so you can be you. You don't have to be this kind of constructed illustrator or the animator. You don't have to fit. He doesn't pigeonhole you, and I know that word is so heavily used in the creative industries, but he lets you be you, and he then nurtures you as an individual, which I think is quite a beautiful thing, really.
It is, yeah. It is, and I like that fact that he is also working in the industry. He knows what he's talking about because he's involved with that at the same time.
Oh yeah, and like, even though he may not personally have done, like, say, like, I don't know, editorial. I don't know if John's done editorial. I don't think he has. I think he does a lot more like scientific, historic, like works with things like museums and things like that and businesses. But like, I like the fact that he knows a lot. He's very knowledgeable in so many different aspects, so you can approach him in quite a few different ways. But because he's so knowledgeable, he knows the industry, even if it's not the industry he's worked in.
Yeah.
Which I think is great. It's, it's a very, I think, very rewarding experience. I didn't realise my tutor would be probably the most rewarding experience of going to Coventry University, but it really has been.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'd probably agree with that. It's just a bit of a fresh air to have a tutor that, they know so much about all these different types of things that you can look into. I mean, and anything I chuck at him, he'll have something that relates to it.
Oh, God, yeah. I've actually made it when we have our tutorials. We have like a weekly tutorial with John, and it's great, and he cares. He's like a kind of carer slash, counsellor for us all, right? And under his care, and I've then made it my point when I was first getting to know him of almost having this like intellectual badminton. So I would purposely chuck things at him to see if he actually knew what I was talking about, and I only something he didn't know once.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And even like my day job, like, he knew so much about that when I was talking about it to him, and I was like, how, how? I'm so amazed. Which is great. Like, it's nice. Like, I think he's one of those one in a million tutors, and if anyone can find a tutor that nurtures you and cares for you and genuinely tries for you in such a way that John does, then you're very lucky. And if you don't, then you just gonna have to soldier on, brothers.
Yeah. I mean, don't feel too bad because
it's not everything, but it definitely helps.
It's quite uncommon. So
yeah, he's one in a million, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. And just on the topic of your day job, what is it that you actually do, just so the listeners know?
I am a. It even hurts saying it. I'm a chemical analyst. I work in environmental science and I test environmental waste. It's exactly how it sounds.
Quite an exotic job then.
John keeps trying to tell me that I'm a woman in science, and I should be, even if that's not what I want to do as like a career, I should be proud of that. And I'm like, you're right, John. And then I go to work and I'm like, no, this isn't what I want to do. But it pays the day job, and unfortunately, for like most people in the kind of thing we want to do, you've just got to make money while you hone your own art, I suppose.
Yeah, it's true. And John's right there. Like, to be a woman in science is that's quite big, because normally if people are like, oh, science, it's like NASA or I don't know, any equivalent of that, of NASA, and so like they think it's sort of unattainable.
Yeah, it's attainable. It's an attainable career if you really want it to be.
Not recommended by Karina.
No, unless you really like that kind of thing, then totally go for it.
Yeah. Where did you lose the interest to? Was it in the waste part?
God, I've had I don't know. Well, I can say this. It's fine. I'm not naming and shaming anyone. But I've had like the manure and things like the compost that farmers use, which comes from treated human waste.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had that explode on me before because it was kept in over room temperatures, like over room temperature. I've lived life, man. It's hard. It's like being a veteran, kind of a very strange war against waste.
I'm gonna imagine you have some sort of PTS once you leave.
It really drives. You were saying dedicated, and I show like discipline. That's why.
Yeah, being sprayed with manure. If
Really
that
does
isn't a
something.
good enough reason for you to try and push your art forward, then I don't know what is.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's a little bit about the course and John, of course. But so I guess maybe we've kind of touched upon this really. But what are your main reasons for being on this course?
Oh, see, that's what this question I was trying to avoid. I I got to a position. It's not that I was doing badly on my own, as trying to put myself forward as an illustrator, but I'll give you a succinct background on who I am.
Mm-hmm.
So my bachelor's degree was actually in design crafts at De Montfort University, and I made for a really bad designer. It was very free flow, but also very dogmatic. Like, they wanted you designing things like plates, fabric, and whatnot. And I had this moment where in the second year, they had a live open brief for like industry, and one of the bits was the Penguin Book Competition.
Oh yeah.
And I did that. I chose to do that because it was the Wind in the Willows. It was the puffin one, not the penguin one, but nonetheless, it's held by Penguin.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that, and I knew from that moment on, I was like, I want to illustrate. I love literature. I love Wind in the Willows, and this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I was realizing that I needed to spend a bit of time learning how to be an illustrator, because I really was kept missing the mark more than I was hitting it. So that's when I applied and just did it.
Yeah.
Bit the bullet and turned up at uni.
Yeah, that's it. That's the main part of it, turning up. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I can relate to that, because I did 4 years in illustration at Southampton Solent University for my BA, and I just found that by the end of it, I still didn't. I knew what an illustrator was, but it's quite a broad thing, really. It's quite a broad title of what you can do as an illustrator, but I still didn't fully understand what it meant or how to get work as an illustrator. Apart from
It's a very big industry, big industry.
Yeah. What made it good illustration, what made it bad illustration, because my old the head of the course, his name was Johnny Hanna. Um, his type of illustration was very very unique. It was like it wasn't like it would just have random words blotted around, or like French words and stuff in like really thick handwriting. Um,
Right.
and then like random little drawings of people, and it was not something I'd seen before. And when I think of illustration, I didn't really think of his type of artwork, and that's when I started to get a bit more confused about.
What it means. What
Yeah,
does this mean?
yeah. And I was like, because I'm more like I'll put the hours into learning how to draw a certain thing, um, and
Which you do. Like,
yeah.
if your work is very stylized realism is probably the best way I'd describe your work.
Okay. I'll let other people.
Yeah, we'll be the judges,
Yeah,
Dean. Don't
yeah,
you
you do,
worry.
because I haven't got a clue. But I think that's probably typical for a lot of artists. They don't really know how to describe it until enough people have told them.
I think like I would probably just say like if anyone's like, oh, what's your work like? I'm just like whimsy. It's definitely just whimsy. But
Yeah.
also like a whimsy. And like, like Tim Burton. I've got that kind of Tim Burton kind of. It's whimsy, but there's a darker edge to it. But not necessarily like Tim Burton's illustrations or anything like that. But just that kind of tone. I definitely have that tone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Purely because I've heard a lot of people say that to my face. I'm like, God, that's dark. Oh, is it?
Yeah. 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 You start to realise what's bubbling up from inside of you.
Yeah, apparently I'm quite a dark person, even though I dress constantly like a rainbow. And I'm just like, I don't even wear black. As a point, I don't like wearing black. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, maybe that you're just sort of expressing yourself in different ways there.
yeah, there's obviously something that someone with a psychology degree really needs to hammer out in the darkness of my work.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of work there for someone, I suppose.
God bless them.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So I'm going to talk a little bit about any galleries or conventions that you find were your favourite and that you could possibly suggest to people.
Okay. See, I'm going to struggle with this one because I don't necessarily have a gallery, but I do have favourite sets of people that run exhibitions. Does this count?
Yeah, yeah, it all matters.
Okay, right. So I do, gallery wise, the V&A, always the V&A or the Natural History Museum if we're going to talk about like an actual gallery.
Uh-huh.
But my favourite exhibitions that I've been to are run by, I don't know, kind of, we'll call them a collective slash organisation called Sweet Art,
Okay.
as in sweet and then apostrophe art, just to hammer that in there if anyone tries to Google that.
Yeah,
They are kind of, I say collective, but there's only two of them, Charlotte and Karina, and they run exhibitions. We'll say several times a year, normally in London. So far, it's only ever been in London. I have interned with them, I've shown work with them, and I haven't all at the same time. I've just attended their exhibitions, and they throw some. It's fine art normally, but they do hold a point of being interdisciplinary, if I can say it,
Mm-hmm.
and their exhibitions are always really unique. Like they've had Halloween ones, they've had Christmas ones, they do International Women's Day, they've had summer ones. They had like in London as well, in Shoreditch, a art crawl instead of like a pub crawl.
Oh, okay.
They got all the art the way they usually would, and they had it in several different venues across London. And you just like followed Charlotte round, and she had like this big pole with the big sweet art symbol at the top, and it was so amazing. And I was one of the interns helping out with that exhibition, and everything they do is so unique and so heavily thought about, and all the work is never the same twice. And it's like I can't even brag about them enough, and I probably haven't even done enough justice to how amazing that is.
Yeah, that does
But
sound pretty amazing, to be fair.
Yeah, it's like when I say fine art, don't think about walking into the Tate and just going A. Think it's a bit more like inclusive. It speaks to like anyone instead of it just going, oh, only artists can understand what this is, kind of thing.
Sure,
You know?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't take much thought, you know. It's just nice art.
Yeah, there's definitely that line, and sometimes people obviously draw those lines, but they are an organisation that, make sure that it can be inclusive to anyone or everyone, and they make it art accessible, which is beautiful, really.
Yeah, there definitely needs to be bit more of that.
Yeah, which makes them so unique at the moment, which is a good thing, obviously for them. But
Yeah. I'll definitely be checking them out. Yeah.
Yeah. They're definitely a favourite, but on we'll say an illustration front, as we're both illustrators here, and we all band together. There's there's in Bristol. There's what do we call them? What do we call Max an organisation? Anyway, it's called Shake.
Shake.
And it's in Bristol, and Shake is in like a milkshake, and it's run by a guy called Max, and I've been following his like organisation, whatever you want to call it, because I'm not good at naming these things, on Instagram for a while now. And then he started to release magazines and hold these, like, he basically wanted to create like a kind of, not an exhibition, but when people have stalls and stuff, kind of like things like little shows for illustrators, just for illustrators, more illustration based. And I went to one recently in December, and oh my god, it was so good. Like, it was all different kinds of illustration. I spent so much money on prints. Like, I blew my purse with prints.
Yeah.
And it was so much fun, and it was so indie. Like, those are the two things I've been to in, we'll say, my illustrative career that I felt had very unique vibes, and they were good and they were fun. So I've gone on about that for a long time. I obviously enjoy both these things, if you can't tell.
No, it sounds really cool, actually. I think I've got a friend from my BA course. A couple of them from the course, they live in Bristol now. And they started up a comic. It's got such a unique name. Let me try and find it quickly. But I think they were at one of those Shake sort of stall things, selling their work.
Oh, yes. See, like, everyone knows Shake, but I'm going to plug it anyway because Max is a good guy and really deserves it. He deserves the promotion because he's such a nice guy.
Yeah, well, it sounds like he's doing his bit.
Yeah, and I think other people help him, but I think predominantly is him led. He is like the figurehead and the drive force behind it. And it's a lot. They're just so fun. Like, I think last time there was pizza. Like, there was pizza there, and he organised like Ubers to go to it. And I ended up bumping. Have you ever heard of the Sad Ghost Club?
No.
I'll talk about that if we talk about like artists and stuff that inspire me. But like, I bumped into some of the people who run the Sad Ghost Club, and they make like zines about mental health and things, and they sell like apparel about mental health. It's a cool thing in Bristol, and I bumped into them, and I'm like such a big fan of the Sad Ghost Club. I was like, oh my god, but I was so concerned about getting money to go buy prints that I didn't introduce myself very well.
No.
But it was a good event anyway. It was good. It was great.
Yeah, that sounds cool. See, I'm learning stuff. So Sad Ghost Club, I'll definitely be checking out as well. But yeah, these guys were called Thunderchair. Don't know if you saw them.
No, I didn't. Oh, that's a shame.
A really sort of psychedelic illustration, character design style.
Oh my god, that's fun though.
Yeah, it's really trippy. It's almost in this. Some of it is almost in the style of the old Beatles Yellow Submarine film, if you've ever seen that.
Oh god, yes.
Yeah, I mean, not quite as trippy as that, but yeah, it's very like sort of, it's very 2D, but it's got a lot of depth and character to it. Yeah, check those out if you want. That is Thunderchair. They're on Instagram.
Thunderchair.
But I think they were at the Shake thing, and they were like giving out their little magazines that they do, their little comic strips.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, it's quite cool stuff. It's very out there, but yeah, I think because that's one of the bigger things in Bristol, isn't it? So
Yeah, it's illustration, games design, animation. It's I've heard it been recently called Poor Man's London. So it's everything that London used to be, but for basically people who don't have that much money.
All the
It's still
good
quite
parts of
expensive to live
London.
there, but yeah, it's like how Shoreditch and stuff used to be, I think. And I do actually intend on moving to Bristol because I just love it so much. It's close to Wales for one, but it has all the stuff I need to actually be an illustrator. So I'm plugging Bristol now as well, just as a place.
Yeah, yeah, well, I've heard good things. That was an alternative to Coventry for me, but I don't think they did the masters. There was some reason why, but I checked out the uni stuff. It looked really good.
Yeah, UE doesn't do a masters in illustration, which I was so gutted when I found that out because that was the plan. That was like I was like go to Bristol and paint, and it's just gonna be great.
That's crazy because we could have still met on that course if they had done that.
Star-crossed bromance.
Such a weird thought, isn't it? But yeah, that's good. I need to start going to more gallery stuff personally.
Oh yeah, it's something you definitely went to. Was it MGM you went to recently?
MCM, I think it was. Yeah.
MCM. Sorry, I know I'm on about.
Yeah. It's all the same.
It's all nerdy. It's all there.
I still don't know what it stands for, but
yeah, no one does. Well, I'm going to Bristol next weekend because I'm in an exhibition called Equinox that's ran by one jewelry maker and an illustrator, and that's gonna be a pretty big deal, and that's gonna be fun. I think I'm gonna have to network and socialize and those big artist things. It's gonna be scary, but I'm gonna man through it.
Yeah, why not? That'd be good. That's good networking. I need to go to one of those because I mean Birmingham Comic Con was great, but it is ideally for people that are just like into comics or into pop culture, you know, and that's what people went there for, to see, you know, voice actors and stuff like that. So I think it's a bit harder to sort of get to chat to different artists that are there.
Yeah, so you need to have something a bit more broad, don't you? So you can then show all the facets of your Eunice.
Yeah, that's it. Eunice. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And if it's something more like an exhibition, it's more art focused, you know.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So artists are going there, or people that love art are going there. It's not, you know. At Birmingham, it's a bit of a mixture of people, so it's hard to
pin down. It's so hard, and I'm not being too mean against the Midlands here, and I'm sorry if anyone else is, you know, from the Midlands, but it's so hard here to be an artist. It's so few and far between.
Yeah.
But it's so hard to then connect with people. Like there's not. I know I should be like maybe advocating something like a networking thing, but I wouldn't even know where to start. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
it's just at the moment, Coventry alone is just a university city. That's what it is. It's a university with concrete and some roads.
Yeah, it's just
and
a few roads.
That's what Coventry is now. So it's difficult. And I know I'm fangirling about Bristol and maybe being a bit disloyal to the city I'm currently living in, but sorry, Coventry, you deserve it.
No. You get, I think there's a place for that. I mean, there's something definitely to look into. Yeah. So, I always find that as artists we have different things that influence us. Not just art. Well, I mean art as in, you know, paint, drawings, that sort of thing.
Sure.
For me, music is something that does influence me in a way. And I just wanted to know how you felt about that and what sort of music you're into.
Music. No, that's a good one. I hate to be that vague hipster person, but my music taste is extremely eclectic. I would say my favourite band is The Smiths.
Okay.
Because I'm a miserable git at heart.
Yeah, we're British. Come on.
But I also really like that kind of American punk scene from like the late 70s, early 80s. I really love classical music. I love all indie music up until say the late 90s was really good. There's like I could list bands like Echo and the Bunnymen, The Cure, Sonic Youth, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Funeral for a Friend. Oh, there's so many. Like I love music. It's maybe it doesn't directly influence my work, but I think it keeps me sane and happy, and that is always a good thing.
Yeah. That is, yeah, definitely. You need that, especially if you're like just cracking on with your work. It's good to have that sort of playing in the background.
Oh god, yeah. Like when I say eclectic, like I just named all those bands, right? But I only in the past 12 months have discovered the like I know this is gonna be like, how have you only just discovered this? It was all over the radio. Sia, is that how you say her name? You know, the lady with the wig.
I think it is. Yeah. Sia.
Sia, isn't it? Yeah.
S-I-A.
And oh my god, I love it.
Yeah.
Like Chandelier is my dig. I love it.
Yeah.
It's my thing.
Yeah.
So, and like I've been listening to that recently, like that album with like Chandelier and stuff on, while doing all my lino prints. So I've been like bellowing out like the tunes, carving away, and that is a big like it's really nice to have on the background like music, well, so you can sing and do whatever you need to do.
Express yourself in multiple ways.
Oh, I really do. My neighbours, God bless them.
Yeah. Now, Sia's great. I think, especially in today's like music climate, she's one of the more original things I think going on.
Yeah, she writes her own songs. She just has her own flow of things, and I think that is quite nice. And like you said, it's refreshing, definitely.
Yeah.
I didn't realise there was so much to say about Sia's music, but apparently there is.
I'm sure we could do a whole podcast on her music alone.
Oh yeah, it's very sad. You can tell a lot of what I just named there. I obviously have a very sad taste in music. Between like some of the lyrics from Chandelier could correlate to the Smiths quite easily.
Yeah. There's definitely correlations there. She's probably a big fan.
Oh, I would hope so.
Yeah, I think, you know, that sort of stuff. I don't know. I find the music influences me more, depending on what I want to draw at the time. If I'm doing more of my comic book stuff, I like stuff that's more action packed or like a bit more aggressive, maybe. You know, sort of like Dragon Ball Z type anime or manga sort of stuff. Yeah. Then I'll like stuff like Kill Switch Engage or something a bit heavier. You know, that'll get me into that mood. You know, because I'm not sure if you've seen Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z. It has like it has like heavy metal stuff, doesn't it? And in a lot of the films, they've got Disturbed soundtracks.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I was watching them. I was like, "Is this Disturbed?" And I googled it, and it's like, "Yeah, Disturbed did like some songs for the Dragon Ball movie." I was like, "That's crazy."
Oh, didn't Rammstein do? Was it Blade, or it was one of the Blade films, or it was something like that? And it was the Fire. Don't make me speak German, but it's the Fire song. Effectively, it was that one, and I love that song. And that was for an action film, and that's quite a pumped song. It's good. I love Rammstein.
Yeah, I see them live once, and yeah, crazy.
That's something anyone listening to this has to experience, even if you don't like metal music. You have to experience Rammstein. It's more like a performance art than it is actual music.
Yeah, I mean, I've never disliked them, but I wasn't that into them personally. But when I saw them live, I was like, there was something about them. I couldn't. I was like, yeah, these guys are great, especially live. You know,
oh yeah, it's electric. It's an electric performance.
Yeah. And they were keeping me warm with their huge fire explosions.
Well, exactly, and their giant penis with the foam coming out of it. I mean, you can't. I'm not even doing it justice. If you've never even heard of Rammstein, just Google it and you'll see what I mean.
Yeah, they didn't do that bit for us. That was left out.
Oh no.
They didn't think download was good enough. So yeah, what other things do you find has influenced your work? Video games, movies, comics, anything like that?
I am a massive bibliophile. I'm a real heavy-duty book nerd, and I think without books, I probably wouldn't be able to draw. Like my artistic life hinges on my ability to read.
Yeah, really, yeah.
But films definitely have like sometimes when I'm feeling a bit lost, like I'll watch a Wes Anderson film. Or I'm never going to do his name properly. Guillermo del Toro is also a massive influence on my. Maybe I think those two directors have had a massive influence on my color palette, and I'm sure they'd be so happy to hear that on both sides. But I think Guillermo alone has basically. He forced me to pursue a lot of the body of work that I'm doing now, that kind of exploring monsters and folklore and, those stories that are like why we're scared of woods and water and fire, and but I'm at heart I'm still just a massive book nerd. That honestly, the fact that I didn't go and study English literature will ever be a questioning thing, but art was my calling. We've assessed that, but yeah, books are my love, and without them I wouldn't be who I am.
Yeah, that's great. Because I know you in your current project, you've been taking a bit of influence from it was the European folklore, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
And you mentioned to me about The Witcher.
Oh yeah, the books for The Witcher. Like, I'm pulling out too many names that I can't pronounce here. But the game and I would say more the books than the game, but because they were Polish guys who did the game. They're a Polish game design company, and so was the guy who wrote the book. And a lot of the folklore is based around Polish Slavic folklores. You can, they definitely on my bibliography for this project, it would just say The Witcher with like 2 and 3, and then it will say the names of the books, because I think that when I played The Witcher 3 and then read through the books, I was like, yes, I need to do a project on Polish folklore, because it's so rich and so vibrant, and so people don't really think of Poland as a really cool place or with really cool history, but it's an amazing place, and the people are amazing, and I really don't like their food, but otherwise it's beautiful.
Yeah. Well, there's got to be some sort of con.
Yeah, well, their con is their obsession with cheese and sour cream. Sorry, Polish people, but it's why?
Yeah. Yeah, that's yeah. Each to their own, I suppose.
I've just basically offended the whole of Eastern Europe with that rant, but it's true.
I'm sure they hate plenty of things that you like as well.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yorkshire puddings, why?
Just basically baked pancakes.
Yeah, baked pancakes that rise to little cups that you can hold gravy in.
Yeah, well, that's the best thing about them.
Oh God, yeah. I'm sure they say the same thing about like the kind of chivy sour cream they use in a lot of their dishes, but
yeah,
I can't get my head around it.
Yeah, it's not for me either. Maybe a little bit on a chicken wrap or something like that, but that's more Spanish, isn't it? I suppose, or Mexican.
Yeah, definitely. That's a Mexican thing.
Yeah. But before we get too far into food and not into art, what I guess you've already touched this. I was just going to ask what you're currently up to, but I guess I can go into this. What are your long-term goals as an artist?
It's a really tough question, but I'm kind of.
Yeah.
I like the problem. My problem is that I like everything. And I don't mean that in kind of like I'm boring way, but I mean I'm interested in everything. There's very few things in this world, bar football, that that I can't find something interesting. So like, say someone commissioned me to design a fabric, I would love to do that, and I'd like to work in the games industry. But I think mainly to be a freelance illustrator, and I want to be part of a studio collective that has print facilities. That is like the big dream for me. If I could teach people print and illustrate and show people the amazingness of things like print and its application, then my day is done. I have done the right thing.
Yeah, that's the dream.
I think that is my dream. Like, at the back of my head, I want to do like little zines and stuff that I've already been doing, print, and just live a very kind of print-based life where I constantly smell a little bit of oil.
Yeah, I remember the days of like oil painting and stuff like that when I was younger.
Oh, there's a smell. There is a smell.
Especially when you start adding in the white spirits and stuff.
Oh yeah, turpentine. Oh my god, there's it has a smell. But yeah, I think that would be my long-term goal. Like, if I could be a part of a print collective, and I think that'd be a really amazing thing. That'd be great.
Yeah, I like that idea. It's cool. But as with any sort of long-term goals, things can always change. Sort of inspirations change, and your sort of what you are into changes as well. So
Yeah, of course, people change.
Yeah, and it's a bit of a tough question, because I'm the same. Like, I don't know. I have a dream job, I suppose, but you don't know it. I'm kind of like you. I'm sort of happy as long as I'm creating.
But there's nothing wrong with that. I always feel that people are always told, like, oh no, but you should be more focused. But sometimes there is your work, not the people can't see what I mean here, but your work could be used in a lot of different ways, and I think that my work could be used in a lot of different ways, and that shouldn't be seen as a bad thing. And if anyone's listening who has a very diverse range of interests and like the way their work could be used, you should never be told that's a bad thing.
No.
Because it's a good thing. It's broad, it's fun, and it means you can just go with the flow of how your life goes, and that's a positive thing.
Yeah, and I think you need to be like that today in the freelance world.
Yeah, definitely flexibility is key.
Yeah, I think so. Because for me, I can do a number of different types of art. I can do, if I really want to, I can sit down and do portraits, with a pencil or a pen and stuff like that. Or I can do sort of poster designs if I wanted to, but I don't get as much enjoyment out of them. But if someone was like, I want you to do this, and I'll give you X amount for it, then I wouldn't be opposed to that. I'd still be just as happy.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what's really important, is your happiness at the end of the day. So
yeah, exactly. So yeah.
we've gone to a self-care cast again.
Yeah.
Self-care 101.
As long as you're happy. But then we can get on to the whole fine art discussion. But
sure.
Certain types of fine art, should I say? Like contemporary stuff, where people, it's just like, it's just how you feel when you're doing it, and
yeah, I think they call it process-led. That's the big buzzword for that.
Yeah, because that's what it's like. 3 things that can determine art. Because I wrote about this in my my final essay for the BA course.
Oh yeah.
And it was like art is about beauty. And the concept of aesthetics was actually invented to try and determine what art actually is, because nobody had a clue. So they created aesthetics, the whole idea of it, and then that helped to explain what makes something art. And it's one of 3 things. So the beauty is found in the process, and not the end result or the idea. Then the other one is the beauty is found in the idea, not the process and the result. And then finally the other one is the beauty is found in the end result, not so much the other 2.
Yeah.
So, I guess it's a bit of a grey area with certain things.
I think it's because we're in this I'm going to go use fine art talk here and fine art jargon, but it's because we're in a postmodern age and everything is satirical and it's breaking the fourth wall and it's very self-aware. But I think I don't think we have lost our sense of magic, because I think in a lot of very the illustration community as a global thing and the animation community as a whole thing, I think we're still there. We've still got that sense of whimsy, that sense of fun, that sense of almost like childlike innocence of art that I think the high fine art stuff has kind of lost. It's almost like that old cynical guy you see in a bar who's seen too much. That's like fine art, like what we'll call big name fine art is now. It's cynical, it's dry, I think it's lost its sense of fun.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it's missing. It's missing what used to be fun about art. It used to be beautiful. It used to move you in like a almost silly way. Like people like Turner and Renoir and even like Monet and stuff had a sense of humour.
Yeah.
Picasso had a sense of humour, and I'm like, why have you lost that, guys? No, don't go too self-aware. Come back, be fun, have fun. Remember when it was fun?
Yeah. Well, now I guess people see fun as, turning a urinal upside down or
Yeah,
eating
it's
with
like
elephant dung. Well, it's not really.
yeah, don't do like, and not everything has to be bleak. I know the world is bleak, and art shouldn't have to reflect that. Art should be beauty instead of, it should bring the beauty back into the world, not show the world for what it really is. Because sometimes that's not what people need.
Yeah, especially people.
You need to be Batman.
Yeah, exactly. And especially for people that aren't really into art, a lot, they go to these galleries and if anyone's ever been to a gallery with their mum or their dad or their partner or something who isn't really into art, and you'll often get like confused looks on their faces, or they just don't have a clue what any of it is about.
Like, my mum said that she preferred the old stuff because she felt it told her something. Like, there was this painting in Cardiff Art Gallery, and I think it was by a Dutch painter of of a time. It was around like what would have been like the Tudor period in Britain. And there was a guy, and he was the main focus was this woman who was working in some kind of like vegetable stall or whatever, and it was classically painted, just to paint the picture for you here. And he was obviously groping her in some kind of way in this beautiful like oldie kind of like vegetable cookery room place, and that told you something. It told you something about the time. Painter obviously had a sense of humour, but it was obviously saying something about this is what happens in real life. This is real life. There was that kind of dryness, but also there was this beauty and detail about the world that was also quite nice. And I think you can still have a message without going too heavy-handed, too on the nose.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's the whole point of art, isn't it? To tell a story or to help people sort of just escape reality for at least a few moments.
Well, that's why video games became like our generation's new art form, because it's an easy way to escape in something quite beautiful for a time anyway.
Yeah, no, definitely. I don't think there'll be anything that because even VR is still video games, so I don't think anything will ever do it in the way that medium has.
No, unless you're like me and a massive book nerd. So you're like, I'm going to escape books for a few hours.
Yeah, well, that's how I see video games. They're like a book that you can control.
Yeah, pretty much. You just dictate the story and the where you're going, but all in all, it's still a narrative. Like The Witcher, we've mentioned, has a narrative. It has a story, and it's a good story. So
you become that character. I mean, you can in books as well, but sometimes you can. I can still feel a bit separated from the actual character.
Where in a video game you become.
Yeah, like an enemy hits you and you say "ow." Do you know what I mean? So.
Yeah, or you flinch.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've been playing Bloodborne lately on the PlayStation 4. I'm not sure if you played that at all.
No, I do. I know the game though. I haven't played it, but I know it.
Yeah. So anyone who's listening doesn't know what it's about. It's basically it's a really hard game. The game is out to kill you and to kill you often. And the whole point of it is for you to learn how the game works and to progress. But yeah, it's just there's so many jumpy points in it. Like they'll just place an enemy behind a wall, and you'll see an item, and you'll think, "Oh, I'll go over and get that," and then he'll jump out from nowhere, and if he hits you hard enough, you could be dead in that one moment. You lose everything. You got to go back to the start. But you'll take him out, and then all of a sudden another character will come. You'll think the coast is clear, and then another guy jumps out of nowhere. And it's crazy. It's a crazy game, but it's good. So yeah. Going by, you've spoken a bit about your favourite galleries and exhibitions that you've been to. Who are your favourite artists, and who do you think has influenced you the most?
This can be dead or alive, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was going to say as well. Pick one from the past and one from the present, if you'd like.
Yeah, okay. The past is a hard one, but I would definitely say Renoir.
Okay.
He's a classical impressionist painter, but I love his work. I love his color. It's very free. It's very fun. If you don't know who Renoir is, look it up. It's very fun. It's instead of Monet's kind of like water lilies, think something a bit more saucy and French. You're probably bang on the money with that one. And contemporary, I would say there's three. Can I say three?
Yeah, you can say as many as you want.
Okay, it would be a big toss-up and an arm wrestle between Liza Meddings, that's Lize as in Lize, Meddings, Megan Reddy, and Stuart Easton. And those three, if it wasn't for their Instagram, they kind of keep me kind of going, yeah, I need to be that good.
Yeah. Yeah, they keep that.
They all have Instagram. I think they're all under the names that I've said them. Yeah, they all are under the names I've said them as. That's Lize Meddings, Megan Reddy, and Stuart Easton.
Okay.
And they're all in various stages of their career, but they're all very, very talented illustrators. One's an embroiderer, one does a lot of print, and it's all illustrative in its own way. But they have three very different styles and three very different ways of doing things, and they're very talented.
Awesome. Sounds great. I'll be checking them out. And
I encourage it.
What's that? Sorry.
I encourage anyone to check their work out, because it's their dedication to their work is pretty phenomenal.
Yeah. It's great. I couldn't. You've got a visitor.
Sorry, my cat's like, why haven't you paid attention to me?
Let me get involved.
He's got a lot to say about art and illustration.
That's great. So who do you think, maybe it's one of these artists you've just mentioned, but who do you think is an artist that needs more attention?
I think Stuart Easton, he's a pretty big artist. He doesn't need me plugging him, but I think he'll appreciate it, but doesn't need it. But Lize and Megan definitely are very good. And there's recently I came across another illustrator who's another woman. Apparently, I only plug women and Stuart. But her name's Rachel Tunstall.
Okay.
And she shock horror for my usual kind of genre of art. She actually does a lot more digital work, so it seems. She's a digital illustrator, and I really love her. She's got really bold work.
Yeah.
And so it's Rachel Tunstall. I think it's spelled Tunstall, and her work is really kind of bold. It's very bold. It's very inspiring.
Yeah.
I wish I could have that level of kind of neatness to my work that Rachel has, because my work always looks like not like a Jackson Pollock painting in the fact I throw things everywhere, but it always looks like I've kind of thrown the lino print at the paper a little bit, and I've got a bit heavy-handed.
That's the beauty of that sort of work, though. You can take it either way, can't you? Have it a bit more sort of rough or a bit more neat. But then again, if you're trying to be too neat with lino print, you're gonna be in trouble.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think that's probably the one thing I have going for me, is that I'm not very precious about my work. I will just develop, change, go with the flow, and kind of just make it happen. You don't have to do one amazing drawing. I mean, as great as that is, you don't have to. If you screw up, just have fun with it.
Yeah, I think that's a huge part of it. I definitely need to sort of remember that a bit more.
No, I think that's part of your style, though, Dean, because I'm talking about something where people can't visually see it, but it's very realistic. for something very stylized and obviously influenced by things like games and comic books and cartoons, but there's a very heavy realism aspect that I think works for you and it will make you stand out. So
Well, hopefully. I'll post some things up along with it. I mean, this interview is essentially about you, the guest, Karina.
Sorry, I should be plugging myself, damn it.
But I'll put some stuff up, I suppose, for people to look at. I'll put all my little Instagram-y things and that at the bottom.
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
so old when I say that.
Those Instagram-y things.
I know they are Instagram usernames, tags, you know. I know.
Oh yeah, I'm with you.
I'm down with the kids.
Sure you are.
But that is my most used social media platform, actually. It's great for that sort of stuff, for anything arty.
Everyone at the moment is hating on Instagram, and I totally get it, but it's a good place, and you can talk to people. Like, I've spoke to some like really amazing, like Liz Meddings, like her. Even though I know you shouldn't get sucked into social media and watching people and comparing yourself to others, like, I don't compare myself to her because we have very different, bar the fact we're both very colourful, we have very different styles. But, like, it's good to have that kind of knowing what other people are out there making. I find actually quite good because I'm like, yeah, and so should I should go make something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's great, that little bit of inspiration.
Yeah, like daily inspiration. Sometimes you need that, otherwise you feel isolated, and that's what things like this podcast and stuff would be good for, is stopping that isolation.
Yeah, that is the main part of it. So, just to know that other people are on the same page, you know?
Oh yeah, the struggle is real.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'll look on Instagram, and then sometimes I'll see a picture and think, yeah, I'm going to go create something, you know, well, kind of similar, but it just gets that fire burning a bit more.
Yeah, because everything you do is always going to be in your own way, but it's just good to sometimes go, yeah, let's draw something.
Yeah,
God
yeah.
damn it.
Sometimes you need that push, and then other times I'll look at it and be like, I'll never be as good. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I try and avoid that where I can and remember that I am me and a beautiful flower in my own way.
That's it.
Everyone should remember that.
Yeah. We're going back to the self.
Oh, we really are today, aren't we? It's all self-care.
That's it. Maybe we can do a sort of sub
Artist
podcast.
self-care.
Yeah. Start up a system. But no, in all jokes aside, that is, you know, that's a big part of it, really. So, what are your views on the current state of the art world?
Well, bar its chronic underfunding. I think we're going to go back to internet, Instagram, whatnot here, but it's made it great, but at the same time, it's became probably more competitive because of the internet. And then when you put that against really bad economies and really, like, you know, bad toxic governments and things like that, it can look all doom and gloom. But I think that the internet is helpful in the ways that I just said, that it does help you, like, communicate with other illustrators, creators, animators, whatever, and it's a really amazing thing. You basically just don't lose heart. Things will stable out and things will work for you in its own way, creatively. It's basically a bit doom and gloom, but if you stick at it, you'll get there. I think is my kind of current, that's what I have to tell myself about the artwork.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think you have to stay consistent as well.
Yeah. If you post on Twitter or Instagram, both, Facebook, whatever, then make sure that you post, you're present. I mean, I know everyone's like, take these amazing pictures, and I know I don't post amazing pictures, but I just try and be myself.
Yeah.
And be real, and sometimes show bad work to kind of go, oh, I've produced bad work today. You know, it does happen. Everything doesn't have to be perfectly curated.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I'm currently keep posting things about how I keep badly printing things. I keep mixing my ink wrong on my bit of glass that I have, and like it's basically too thick. So then when I print it, it looks a bit blotchy.
Yeah.
But that's a good thing because sometimes you do screw up, and that's a part of life as much as a part of art.
It's a huge part of art. you know, you'll follow the different people who put up amazing artwork.
Yeah, and it's beautifully curated. Like the pictures are curated, and
Yeah.
and they've got boxes and DSLRs and whatnot.
Yeah. And you know, but you don't see all of the failed attempts that get to that one piece of art. You know.
No, you don't, or at all. Like, I mentioned Mize Meddings as an illustrator.
Yeah.
She's quite good at, like, if she works a lot in her sketchbook and then pulls aspects of her sketchbook into like final prints or whatnot. And she shows a lot of the times where she's like, no, I really don't like this, and I don't know whether she's afraid of it or not. I've never met her, but she's very honest about her work and her process, and like, even though I enjoy all her work, whether she thinks it's screwed up or not, like, I like that honesty. I find that really refreshing, and it's great. And so, don't ignore the curation, people. Everyone just ignore how curated everything is. Life is crap, so sometimes work will be crap.
Yeah, exactly. And it's hard as well on social media. I find you'll see certain artists who have, you know, hundreds of thousands of followers, or maybe even some of them have 1 million followers over, which is quite a lot on Instagram.
Yeah.
And it's easy to feel if you're not at that point or anywhere near it, that your art is almost obsolete or isn't as good, which is a shame, really, because that's not the case. You know, it's easy for people to find an artist that has gained some traction and then follow them more because they're getting a bit more sort of exposure because of how many fans they've already got or followers they've already got. So it's like a snowball effect.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah.
It's about communication as well, though. Like, sometimes it's nice. We've got. It's gonna go really self-care and like really like love yourself, but just just don't get disheartened. I think that's probably the best thing, because the world, art world at the moment is so disheartening. Don't be disheartened, because. So there was a video game came out in the past 12 months. Is it like Night in the Woods or something like
There is
that?
a new one out, yeah, Night in the Woods, I've heard.
Yeah, it's got the cat as the main protagonist. And it was an amazing game, a brilliant game. I loved it. And, that was completely pulled out of nothing. That was all done with a really small group of people. And it's now it's got a really big subculture. So I'm not saying you're going to make it big, but just be present, man. Be present on social media, be present on, and just be good.
Yeah, and because there was another one, Stardew Valley. I'm not sure if you played that.
Oh, I love Stardew Valley.
Yeah, that was made by one guy.
And it's an amazing game. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. It took him 5 years in the end. I think he aimed for 2 years, and he'd never done any program before. He'd never done any animating before. And he did it to teach himself programming. And the more he did it, the better it become. And 5 years later, he just kept adding things to it, and it just got better and better. And now it's this this cult classic, I suppose. Well, it's going to be.
Yeah, in its own right, definitely.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people like our age who like games and stuff, it's a really big, like, it came and it was so unique, and it reminded us all a bit of Pokemon and things like that.
Yeah.
But it had this really real life storyline with, obviously there was bits of magic and stuff in, but like a lot of characters you could kind of relate to, and it was so heartwarming. It's such a just warming game.
and a game that's essentially about picking carrots and growing sweet corn.
Yeah, it's got a charm, hasn't it? I think, okay, well, it's not warming, it's charming. The game is charming.
Yeah, it's just fantastic, it's what you can achieve nowadays, and
Yeah, exactly. So if things like Steam are a thing, and Instagram, and all these amazing things are happening, and YouTube exists, so just art world, read the waves.
YouTube is a huge thing, and I think that's something people should definitely look at getting into. I'm actually looking at starting a series of how to draw videos. Certain things, like taking a different approach to learning how you draw something. It's probably aimed for maybe a younger audience, or people that are just starting out drawing. But I don't know yet how I'm going to do it, or even if it's actually going to properly, go somewhere. But just little things like, say there's a certain character. A lot of kids want to draw certain characters, say Pikachu from Pokemon.
Yeah.
And I wanted to sort of help people understand what makes up that character, the shapes and how it's simplified, and not just that character but other things as well, and then teach you what it's made up of, so that you can take those things and do what you want with them, so you could put that character in any position that you wanted to, or just simplifying the human form, that sort of thing.
I think that's really nice. This is like just as warming as Stardew Valley. It's just charming, darling.
Yeah. But you see a lot of I see a lot of these things nowadays, like videos on how to draw this, and it'll be someone who's set up a course on how to draw things, and I don't know. I don't like the thought of taking money off of people to teach them something that, one, it might not work for them, and two, is something that you shouldn't be charging for anyway. I mean, maybe if you was going, I don't know. It depends on who you are. If you're like one of the masters, then sure, like you're probably going to charge for it.
Like Quinton Blake's like lessons on how to draw for kids' books or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's gonna. You can expect him to charge to some degree. So I don't want to take that approach. I want to sort of just do it on YouTube, so it's free for people, so that sort of thing. But like my approach might not work for other people, so that's why I'm doing it like that.
I still don't know how to draw Pikachu, and I love Pokemon. So I mean, really, maybe that will help people like me.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe a Squirtle, maybe a Charmander too.
Yeah, don't just go Pikachu. It's not.
Yeah.
God, there's Pikachu at every corner.
That's it.
No. That'd be really good. I think that's a really good idea. See, things like that, that's why the internet is actually a beautiful thing, and we should all try and remember that, even when things get a bit mean and hateful.
Yeah, it's best to ignore that sort of stuff. I mean, as hard as it can be.
The internet trolls are, they've got their name for a reason.
Yeah. I mean, I've had people on Instagram lately. They'll just comment on stuff, and they'll be like, "Lovely," and then they'll say, "Oh, look at my artwork. Follow for follow, 3 for 6 or something. I don't know what the hell that was." And then like comment for comment, and and then they put this exact same comment that was obviously copy and pasted onto another picture of mine, and I just thought, like, is that is that the most effective way of approaching social media with your artwork? Because I'm not following you just because you followed me. That's not how it works.
Yeah, it's like if an artist you like does follow you, like I've had a few recently that, and I'm like, oh my god. But don't. That's just be you. Be authentic. Be the real you, because people like that more. People always like that more.
Yeah.
So that's why I try my whole art, the way I do things. When I'm not precious and I'm messy, and I use things like embroidery and fun things that I like. It's me just being me, and that's the way you should go about doing anything.
Yeah, exactly. Just be yourself, express yourself, and all that.
Exactly.
That gooey stuff.
I'm not like this normally. I don't know where it came from. I'm hardcore. I listen to punk music. God damn it.
Yeah, my art is just an expression.
Yeah. Well. Oh, Lord knows. Apparently, I am. I was like, oh, my work's kind of dark and creepy. Apparently, no. I'm a big, gooey, mushy marshmallow.
Yeah, I don't know how it got onto that, but I guess that's a good thing, because other people, they must be feeling the same. So
yeah. There's a lot of pressure, but just ride the waves.
Yeah, that's it. So this has been quite a long interview, really.
Sorry.
No, I don't mean like that. I mean, it's just flown by. I just looked at the time. I was like, oh wow.
Oh, good God. Sorry, I haven't got the actual time close to me, so wow, okay, yeah.
No, but it's been great.
Aw,
Thank you very much, Karina, for coming on and sharing your views and telling us a little bit about yourself.
It's all good, it's all good.
I can imagine we'll have you back on if you
Aw.
want to come back on.
To do self-care videos and vlogs and
I'll
whatnot,
be
of
in
course, yeah.
contact with you about that.
Email me with the deets.
Yeah, yeah, I will definitely. So before we go, do you want to let people know where they can find you and your preferred social media and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, sure, okay. I only have two main vessels of social media, so I can divert most of my attention to them. So you can either find me on Instagram under Karinaisms Illustration, and Karinaisms is in my name, so KarinaIsms Illustration. And I think on Twitter I'm K_Geddes, but I'm just going to double check that.
Yep.
Because I've tried to make sure I've rebranded myself all under the same name, so there's some consistency. Yes, I am a bit business, but I have to be. Yes, it's K_Geddes. And I have.
Geddes.
Yep.
I'm just
And
writing
I have.
it down.
And I have a website, and it's karinaisms.weebly.com. One day I will buy my own domain at that point, and that's where like my portfolio is. I occasionally update my blog with just like sketchbook pages or fun things, but like a lot of my finished work in we'll say a higher quality format that you can catch on my Instagram is on there, so it's all good. That's where that all is.
That's brilliant.
There's a lot of pant pictures, but don't be deterred by the pants. It's all in good fun.
I'm sure people will love the pants.
Oh, thanks.
It's great stuff, so yeah, definitely check that out. Yeah.
Alright, well, I'll see you in a bit.
Yep. Yeah.
Have a nice evening.
Yes, you too. I'll
See you in a bit.
you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
So that was the first episode of the podcast with Karina Geddes. Thanks, Karina, for being the first victim of the Creative Pip podcast. I hope that you enjoyed it as much as I did, and I believe that you guys at home who are listening in also gained quite a lot of insight from this, and I hope that it was a learning experience and a good way for people to relate to Karina's experiences as well as mine. So yeah, please guys look out for the next podcast, which is going to be with another fantastic artist named Hannah Webb. That is coming up in the very near future. Thanks guys. Bye.